I went to Russia with my mom in like 2017, or no, I was 18 for the World Cup, and I didn't really think anything of it. But then once I came back, I was like, fuck, like I really want to go back to Eastern Europe. So my mom said if I took a Russian like learning class for a year, she'd take me back. So I did that, and then right as like that year deadline was ending, fucking COVID hit, and I was like, fuck, are you joking me? Like, I just spent a year doing this for nothing. And then I remember that I had some friends in Cherkasy, which is in Ukraine, like the middle part of Ukraine. And I started researching Ukraine a lot. I started realizing it was kind of like an underground, pretty city. Like all my friends, like Cal, Eamon, they all thought I was fucking crazy for going to Ukraine because they thought it was smokestacks, like villages, not like a real city.
Yeah.
So I convinced my mom to go because she promised me, and she couldn't get out of that promise. So we went for about 10 days, and the first day I didn't really have anything to do because I didn't know anyone in Kiev, because we went to Kiev first, and it was kind of bummy. I was just like, this is cool, the city is cool. The city was really cool no matter what, but I didn't know anyone, so it was kind of sad too. And then Ira, which is some girl that Pilot knows.
How does Pilot know?
Pilot? How does Pilot know her? I don't know. It's some like Snapchat girl, and Pilot knows her, and then somehow it became integrated with me in like freshman year. And so I went to. She lives in Cherkasy, and she told me that this huge skate event was going on somewhere in like the middle of the city, because it was National Skate Day or Go Skate Day. And so I went to the middle of the city. A huge skate thing was going on. Because I was American, I automatically got a lot of attention because what the fuck is an American doing in Kiev when like the war wasn't even going on or anything? No one was interested in Ukraine yet. And so I did that. I made a couple friends, more skate friends than like girls or anything. And I skated a lot for like the next week. I skated like every day, all day. And at nighttime, I would hang out with this one girl named Anya, she wasn't like my girlfriend, like we weren't hooking up or anything. It was actually just like friends. And then right at the end, we started to become more close, you feel. And that was the last day we started to become more close, and I went home to LA, and I was begging my mom, like, please let me go back, like I have to go back.
Yeah.
And I finally convinced my mom to let me go back because I told her it was going to be kind of like a cultural exchange type of thing, because she was letting me stay at her house for about like 2 or 3 weeks. And so she let me go back, surprisingly, never meeting Anya or anything. Like, she never met this girl, any of her family.
She was just like, fuck it.
She was just like, fuck you, like, I trust your judgment. And I went, and I stayed. For the first week, we stayed at her house in Borisville, which is right next to Kiev. It's like on the outskirts of Kiev.
It's more like like farm town or like suburban.
No, it's like, you know how we have the valley? It's like that, but Ukrainian.
Okay.
And it's right next to the airport and everything. So I stayed with her in Borisville for like a couple days, just meeting her family, seeing what's up. Her family was so surprised that like I was there, some random American kid was there that they never met. They were like, my mom didn't even talk to their parents at all, like to see if it was okay. She really had no idea what I was doing. Like I could have been doing anything. But they were asking like, do your parents even know like you're in Ukraine? And of course, they barely spoke English. The only English they spoke was like English they learned from American movies, which is really funny. It was really hard to communicate with them.
So how would you communicate with them? Just like Google Translate?
Not even really Google Translate. It's more after a while of being there, you kind of learn how to like get your point across without talking. Like if it's hand movement, it could be hand movements. It could be anything really, or like music videos. One time we sat with her family and watched music videos, like rap Russian music videos for like 2 hours. And she has a little sister too. She's like 10 or something. And so yeah, that was sick. Then me and that girl went to Odessa. We took a train to Odessa, and we stayed in like a nice apartment for for like a couple days. It was pretty chill. Odessa's really nice.
Where is that, like, relative to Kiev?
So Odessa's on the south of Ukraine, like deep south. It's on the Black Sea,
Oh, okay.
where all that shit's going down right now. And Odessa was one of the prettiest cities I've ever seen. It was like, I didn't expect it to be like a beach town, but it was so like a beach town. It was so funny, all these like Ukrainian people with like their speedos on and their like fucking bellies and shit. And no, yeah, it was really fun. We went back to her house after that, and then went to her country house. I have no idea where that is. It's some name impossible to say. It was just ridiculous, but it was like an hour away from Borisfield, and her grandpa and I went hunting at the farmhouse. Shot like ducks and stuff.
How was that?
I shot 3 ducks. Fucking, he made me wear this Ukrainian like army uniform because he manufactures those. Him and his friend manufactures Ukrainian army uniforms. So he gave me one of those, and he made me dress up in that when we were hunting. I mean, I looked pretty baller.
Yeah.
I was pretty sick. But so yeah, after that, it was sad leaving because I kind of knew I was never gonna see her again, unless I like maybe like in a year, but that's still so long. So nothing serious ever happened between me and her, but it was still an experience I could like never experience any otherwise. And I came home. I had the same feeling that I wanted to go back to Eastern Europe really bad. So what did I do? Oh yeah, I was looking for a summer job, and I landed a summer job in Kharkiv, which is super east. This is where I went the most recent time, but it's super eastern Ukraine. It's right now it's getting fucked, but it's super eastern. I was gonna be an English teacher for all these little Ukrainian kids. I don't even speak Ukrainian. Like, I don't know how I would have done that. For real, I don't know how would I communicate to them at all being an English teacher. Like this word is equal to this word in Ukrainian. I don't know, but I had a plan that I was gonna do it, and I was just kind of gonna walk into it and see how it turned out. But then the war started, and immediately I was like, "Fuck!" Like Kharkiv is gonna be hit first because it's the closest to the Russian border, and of course it did get hit first. And I was trying to figure out something to do because my friends, the people like I know, are dying and like their houses are getting blown up. Kids our age, like 16 at the time, like they had to basically move to another country that they've never been before just because Putin was invading.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had this idea, me and Xander, we decided to go to Poland because we realized that's where all the Ukrainian refugees were going. And
Recording?
we were just going to interview as many people as we could. Not Polish people, Ukrainian people.
Mm-hmm.
We did that. We got there. At the airport, though, in Poland, when we got to Poland, we met this guy named Dane Ferguson. And basically, Dane Ferguson is a Alaskan guy that was a gold medalist in the X Games for snowmobiling. Like, he was the first one that did flips and shit and like side flips with snowmobiles, which seems pretty ridiculous. I don't know
Yeah, I
how
don't know how you
do that with that heavy of a machine, but we met the gold medalists of snowmobiling, and we obviously made a connection because he told us, right, like the first thing he said when he saw us was like, "You guys look exactly like me when I was young." Kind of, I think it's because me and Xander skate a lot, and he used to skate too. But yeah, we obviously made a connection. We got to know a lot about what he was doing over there. He's an NGO, which is a non-government organization. And, what? Mom, come in. That is fucking ridiculous. Alright. So, we met up with Dane. We kept in contact because I was trying to go to Kiev. Xander was kind of scared too, but he said he could drive us, which is pretty chill. I still didn't really know the whole details of his organization. So me and Xander, we got our interviews with a bunch of people. We met a bunch of new people from Kharkiv. a lot of it, I have all the footage. I'm trying to make something with that right now. So then we came back, and I still didn't feel satisfied that I really, because I didn't go into Ukraine, I didn't feel satisfied like that I was there again and I was actually helping. And so I texted Dane. I was like, "Yo, if I come, can I film you and your organization and maybe raise some money for you by filming you and showing people what you do?" And he was down automatically. So he explained to me that there's a lot of corruption right now with all these donating organizations in Ukraine. Basically, a lot of huge Polish corporations are keeping 50% of the profits. Not profits. Or yeah, profits.
The donations.
Like
Yeah,
the
3D
donations.
profits.
Yeah, so they're keeping 50% of the donations for themselves in case Russia invades Poland next, which is just ridiculous. Like, Russia's not going to fucking invade Poland. They're part of NATO and everything. But, so they're keeping 50% of them. And the other 50% that they're actually giving to Ukrainians is some bullshit like hairbrushes and like, I mean, hygiene is important, but people actually need food. And they're not giving food to them. They're giving them fucking COVID masks. They're giving them COVID masks. Like, they're really worried about COVID right now when they're getting bombed.
That's ridiculous.
Which is so fucking stupid.
We're gonna go buy more food in bulk because when we take in these donations from the West, people from the West don't really know what's needed. They send a lot of junk. We got COVID masks up here. Nobody has COVID here. We get a lot of stuff that's not essential. And so we have to go to the local market and buy the missing components so we can build the packs and get them out. So unfortunately, we ran out of sugar and we'll be going to the market a little bit later. So we'll load these guys up with what we got. We're going to grab some buffalo milk and maybe some hygiene products for women and babies. Get these guys on the way.
Okay, so I pulled up to Poland. He picked me up from the airport in this big white van with a huge red cross on the side. It was so sick. With my like military backpack on and like all my military stuff. And so he picked me up. Immediately we started to get to business. We drove to Warsaw to pick up an ATV that he was working on for a project that basically made the ATV have a stretch on the back for soldiers that have been shot, so they could get out of the area like pretty fast and on like a pretty durable machine. So we picked that up. We picked up a bunch of dog food from this border town in like Poland-Ukraine border, and we just started fucking driving to Kharkiv, which is about a 12-hour drive across the country. The country's kind of small. It's only 12 hours to get to the other side of the country.
What was that drive like?
A lot of like trying to keep my eyes open, but I couldn't keep it open, and like dozing off. But then there's checkpoints every, I don't know, I would say every like couple miles. But there's checkpoints of these Ukrainian military guys that basically just check to see if you're part of like the black market, basically, because a lot of people are bringing guns in that they're selling them for the black market. They're bringing a bunch of illegal shit in, a lot of stupid shit. But yeah, we started driving. I saw one thing that I saw super important. A lot of people from the UN and all these big like World Health organizations, they're saying they can't airdrop anything. They can't because the airspace is closed. But they're saying they can't airdrop like food or medical supplies for the soldiers or anything. But I actually have a video of far eastern Ukraine, and there's a helicopter going over, which just kind of proves that that's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And the guy Dane that I was with, he told me like, make sure you film that because a lot of people are lying about this.
Is there any reason why they wouldn't why aren't they actually helping them?
Well, of course there's a danger of getting shot down, but I feel like that's a risk you take when you enter a war zone and you're helping people. But I think they're just scared that they'll get shot down. I mean, I doubt the Ukrainian government would refuse help from like a big organization to airdrop medical supplies.
So what was the UN doing there, like in general?
Dude, I don't think the guy I talked to from I took a class over the summer, like inside the UN, some New York Times shit, and he told me that he didn't even go into Ukraine. He just stayed on the border. So he didn't really experience like what I experienced.
Yeah.
He didn't really see what's actually happening. And okay, so in Lviv, which is part of the west of Ukraine, it's basically untouched. There's still danger. Of course, you're living in a war zone, but it's basically untouched. Like people are living their normal day lives. Almost every shop is open. But there's trash bags on the windows and like cardboard on the windows. So if a missile hits, the glass won't like cut you apart. But still, the western part of Ukraine, and from what I saw, is pretty fine. That's not the part of Ukraine that needs the most help. But so Kiev, we went to Kiev, which is the first time going back to Kiev since I was staying with that girl, and it was kind of surprising because everything in Kiev was kind of normal. Of course, there was military checkpoints and sandbags everywhere, like soldiers everywhere, but it was still normal. There was people skating in the center of Kiev, the same skate spot I met everyone at, which is actually Pocztowa Plощad. I got a tattoo on because that's where I met everyone.
Sick.
But yeah, people in Ukraine were still carrying on with their daily lives, but you could obviously tell there was some distress. But then we drove to Kharkiv, which is far, far east. It's about, the place we went to is 8 kilometers from the Russians, which is something like 5 miles or some crazy shit. And immediately when we were there, you could hear shellings in the distance and like missiles hitting other places. Half the city was like, you would just casually be walking down the street and an entire building would be just blown up and like obliterated. But yeah, so we stayed there. We delivered dog food to this shelter that was basically housing all these soldiers' dogs while they were out fighting. That was pretty cool. I was filming all of this entire time just so I could show that Dane wasn't like these other big organizations that were kind of lying about what they're doing. So yeah, we did that. We stayed in this little shitty apartment right next to a special forces unit that was staying next to us. Like the building next to us was a special forces unit. And I remember playing basketball with Dane against 2 Ukrainian kids. These Ukrainian kids suck at basketball. Like almost every Ukrainian plays at basketball. It's just not their sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, we smoked the fuck out of them. We fucking destroyed them. Some like old grandma was like walking by and like said like we were doing super good in Ukrainian, but we're trash. Like here, if we did that, we'd just get fucked and laughed at. Like no one would take us serious if we played basketball here. Because I guess since how we were brought up, basketball is more of a main thing in America. And so yeah, anyways, while we were smoking them in basketball, there was shellings going off in the distance, and it was just kind of crazy that we're playing basketball with 2 Ukrainians that we barely even know, 2 Ukrainian kids, probably like 14 or 15, and there's fucking shellings going off like a couple miles away. And it's just crazy to think of that people, like, it can be so normalized so fast too. Like, when I first heard it, I was thinking in my head, fuck, is this even safe to be out here right now? They didn't even think twice about it. They just kind of ignored it. Just what I feel like a lot of people are doing out there. Just kind of trying not to think about it too much. But yeah, at nights there would be a lot of missile barrages coming in from the Black Sea to Russian warships. They're firing missiles over Ukraine, like to Kharkiv. I fucking saw a missile one time when I was standing outside in the dark. I saw a fucking missile go by. It was so crazy. It was so scary, but I saw it go by, like a little whistle after it too. I heard the explosion like a couple blocks away. It was just fucking crazy, like something I've never experienced before. But yeah, that's basically. It was. I don't know. I feel like if you don't live your life, it kind of just showed me that I could die at any point. Why not live my life to the fullest and try my hardest? or else it's not even worth it.
Feel, bro.
But yeah, no, but I wasn't even that scared though, because Dane, the guy I was with, every time a missile would hit, he'd just like light up another cigarette and go on the porch and be like, "Oh, that was close," and just like fucking be super funny about it. So I didn't really get scared of it because he was making it all seem kind of funny. He was trying to find the, like, bring some comedic relief.
So what you see here, just like in every household in America, the person in charge of the squad is a female, and without her, their squad would probably fall apart. And despite what it looks like, she's in charge here too.
And so you said that you're gonna go back to Ukraine probably for the senior series project.
Yeah.
Would you be doing the same thing, or would it be more?
Well, I went during the, this war is young as fuck, like, it's not even been going on for that long, but, so they haven't even experienced winter yet, really. Like, December, January, those are like the toughest months of the winter. And I think that's gonna bring up a lot more issues, like with vehicles. I mean, it snows there pretty heavy. So I feel like a lot of people will be starving and not have that much food, especially the people in the east. We delivered food to, it was even closer than where we were, but it was even closer to the Russian like forces. And it was pretty touching because I mean, I was filming everything, so I didn't really ultimately hand out the food, but I was still part of them.
Yeah.
And some like old Ukrainian lady came up to me crying, like thanking me for the food, because if they didn't get that food, no one was gonna give them the food. Like, they're not gonna eat if we don't bring it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do the same thing, and I'm gonna try to go back in January, do the same thing I did with that guy. Stay a little bit longer, maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah.
2.5 weeks. So I can really spend more time there and experience it more. It is always risky though. You have to remember it's a fucking war zone. Like, there's missiles. You don't really believe it until you're there, and your stomach drops when like a missile hits a couple blocks away, or like, I don't know, you get this new realization that, fuck, I might die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this next time I go, I'm really gonna capture more of a military aspect, because the time I went right now, I was more filming
Like Dave and his project.
Dane and his project and civilians. Dane has ties in the Ukrainian military with Foreign Legion forces. Foreign Legion's basically like you know how anyone can kind of join right now.
Yeah.
Foreign Legion's just, it was a group of Americans, French people, English people. But yeah, he supplies those people with food, and they drive food out too with him, with his soldiers. Like, they drive food to places that are a little too dangerous for us to go to, because it's like towns that are half occupied by Russians and half occupied by Ukrainians, and people are still living there. So there's kind of no way that we would go there without having a gun. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do? So we just give the food to the Ukrainian military, and they bring it to the civilians themselves. But yeah, this time I feel like it's more gonna be a military aspect than civilian.
Just some heavy shit.
I know, bro. It's pretty fucking crazy. You have to see it to believe it. Like, it's just this one feeling that you get once you hear like the first missile hit.
It's inexplainable.
It's inexplainable. I would say it drops your stomach, but it's still not even that. You just realize that your life could end so quickly, and you wouldn't even know it too. You'd just be evaporated, straight up.
So like, when you come back to Los Angeles, you know, you're not really worried for your life. Like, how does your time in Ukraine like kind of carry over to school, just normal day life?
Bro, so after Ukraine, I met up with my family, and we went to Saint-Tropez, which is in France. And the moment I realized that I had actually changed and I wasn't the same stupid fucking idiot I was before, was when we were at the beach and a boat, like a loud boat, started up, and I fucking like ducked and like thought it was a missile instinctively, because it just like, I was still in that mindset of missiles and fucking artillery shells. It wasn't like I was scared, it was just like,
instinct.
It was instinct, and then after I did it, I was like, fuck, I really just did that.
So that's nuts.
But yeah, no, in LA, I'm trying to spread Dane's message and kind of reveal a lot of the corruption that's going on over there, because no one really knows about it. Also, our media, there's nothing about Ukraine anymore.
Nothing.
I haven't heard a single thing on Ukraine in about 4 months.
Well, it's just like anything. It was really like a trend in our media.
Oh god, it was like a trend that just went away after a fucking minute, and now no one cares.
And also, hasn't it? I mean, I don't know if I'm getting the year right, but 2014 was when Russian forces really started to.
Yeah, it was either 2014 or 2016, but they invaded Crimea. Everyone had this. It wasn't as bad as this right now. This is like a full-on invasion. But they said they liberated the town of Crimea when they really just invaded.
Yeah, because aren't there some Ukrainians that actually want to be Russians?
Dude, people have said that. I mean, I doubt they would tell me if they were pro-Russian while living in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see anyone voting for the Russians, because I feel like once you're living there and you're getting bombed and your friends are dying, you're no longer, even if you were pro-Russian before that, you no longer like the Russians. They're killing your fucking friends.
Yeah.
Some other crazy shit that's happening over there is there's a lot of Russian spies in Ukraine, and the KGB, they put money on people's heads that are important. Like Dane, he could have money put on his head because he's supplying everyone with food. So if they put money on his head, any pro-Russian sympathizer or anything, they just go up and kill him. And fucking one of the people that Dane knows, they fucking got killed by a Russian spy because they were posting their face on social media and stuff, showing everyone who they are. That's why all the footage I have, most of the people, their faces are blocked out, they're wearing masks.
Yeah, so Dane keeps a super low profile.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to get donations, and the only way you really get donations is by publicizing your organization. So I think he's kind of accepted that he has to sacrifice his identity to get money for people that need it. But everyone else is wearing ski masks and balaclavas. It's super trippy too, because you first get them and you're like, why is everyone hiding their face? It's so scary.
Yeah.
Dude, one of the checkpoint guards from the Ukrainian military, when they were going through our van, they saw our radio shit, and they were so fucking suspicious of us. They thought we were Russian spies, and they asked us 5 times if we were Russian spies, and we're like, no, Privyet. You're like, no. But nah, it took some convincing to convince them that we weren't Russian spies. I don't see how we would be Russian spies being American.
Yeah.
I feel like Russian and America.
It doesn't make any sense. They just have to take precaution.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know. A lot of the checkpoints, they put up fake dummies of military guards because no one's there to man it. Because they're low on forces. Everyone's actually fighting instead of being at a checkpoint. So they put dummies the fucking things that you punch.
Yeah, punching bags.
Yeah, but not the punching bags, the half body.
Oh yeah, I know.
They put that guy and a Ukrainian hat on him and a uniform, so he looks like an actual person. And just to make people think there's more Ukrainian military than there is.
And anything for the viewers? Any words of wisdom? I mean, you've been in the war zone.
I would say, what the fuck would I say? I would say, don't do any drugs when you're in a war zone. Don't even sip on alcohol at all. You have to be alert at all times. Even if it does seem pretty chill, nothing's happening, you can never be too ready for a situation that might happen. Imagine if at any time I was faded or something, or drunk, you can't react as fast and as smart. I can't drive a car. Fuck, am I gonna do faded as fuck when when a Russian military guy is pointing a gun at my face?
Shells going off too.
Bro, chill.
Alright, well you guys heard it. Don't do drugs or drink alcohol in a war zone. Thanks so much, man.